One of the most popular yearly events is coming back to Pokémon GO, and I'm of course talking about Adventure Week. Now, this is something that typically features a lot of water-type Pokémon and fossil Pokémon, but this year, Niantic is doing things quite differently. I'm going to be talking about all of this in today's video. Let's get right into it. Alright, what's happening everyone? Jinsula here with a brand new Pokémon GO video. I hope your day is going really well, and let's get right into it. So Adventure Week is upon us. This is one of those yearly events that features a lot of fossil Pokémon, but this year Niantic decided to change things up. The idea of Adventure Week is going to be focused more on exploration rather than finding fossil Pokémon in the wild. And I think this is drawing some criticisms from the Pokémon GO community because typically when it comes to Adventure Week, the popular aspect of it is getting those fossil Pokémon because they are quite rare. It's not often that you see fossil Pokémon in the wild or from eggs or from raid battles, so Pokémon GO players typically wait until Adventure Week to fill in some of those Pokédex entries. And then often they usually debut a new shiny with Adventure Week, and typically those shinies are highly sought after. But this year they're doing things very differently. They're going to be focusing on a completely different theme when it comes to Adventure Week. Rather than making it about fossil Pokemon, now it's going to be all about exploration, going on an adventure. You're going to find different Pokemon in different biomes. You're going to find different bonuses that are not necessarily related to fossil Pokemon. I do find it interesting that they're going to be shaking things up rather than having a completely separate event that's going to be all about these themes, but rather they're just making a current event into something new. So let's go over the details for this new Adventure Week, and then afterwards let me share some more of my thoughts and what the community is saying. This year's Adventure Week is going to be starting on July 29th at 10 o'clock a.m. local time, and it's going to go until August 3rd at 8 o'clock p.m. local time. The featured Pokemon for this event include Toedscool as well as its evolved form Toedscruel, as well as Wiglet, and you're going to be able to get the shiny form for Wiglet for the very first time through this event. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this is actually going to be a very different Adventure Week compared to previous years, and the reason for that is actually the wild spawns and how they're going to work. If you go to a different biome, you're going to see different event spawns. For example, if you go to a city biome, you're going to see Snubbull, Trubbish, Elgyem, Sizzlipede, as well as Esper, and then if you go to a forest biome, you're going to see Squovit, Fido, Smoliv, Tadbulb, and the new Pokemon Toedscool. And then if you go to a mountain biome, you're going to encounter Hippopotas, Drillbur, Rufflet, and Gligar. And then finally, in beaches and water biomes, you're going to see Inkay, Mareanie, Dewpider, Sandygast, as well as Wiglet. Now, I'll be perfectly honest with you, I don't necessarily know how I feel about this, because on the one hand, I actually like this idea, where depending on the biome, you're going to get different spawns. I really do think that reinforces this idea of exploration and adventure. But on the other hand, if there is a particular Pokemon that I want, and unfortunately that biome just does not exist around me, then that is definitely going to create frustration. For example, I do have to drive out quite far in order to go to a beach biome, so the chances of me getting a Wiglet are probably going to be slim to none during this event. I do think something like that is a huge oversight and something Niantic could have mitigated by having certain spawns be available everywhere, but that's just me. I do not necessarily feel like this is a bad thing, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be Pokemon GO players that are not going to be happy about this. Now, in order to get the new Pokemon Toedscruel, you need to get Toedscool and evolve it with 50 candy. I'm actually not sure if you can use Tentacruel candy, considering that this is a regional variant, but it's also kind of its own thing, kind of like how Wiglet is separate from Diglett. We really do not know. I wasn't actually told what kind of candy you could use, but I guess we'll find out once this Pokemon comes out. Now, during this event, we're going to get the following event bonuses. You're going to get double the amount of experience when you catch Pokemon, and then incense, excluding the daily adventure incense, are going to last for 2 hours. And these are the only event bonuses this time around. I actually thought this was interesting because typically with Adventure Week, one of the big bonuses that they always include is getting double the amount of experience, or actually a substantial amount of experience, whenever you spin a new Pokestop during this event. But they did not include that this time around, which I think was kind of a weird move, considering that a particular bonus like that would definitely be on theme with what they're trying to do. Now, we're all going to be getting a timed research during this event, event, which is going to award you with 1 incense, 4 rare candies, as well as encounters with event-themed Pokemon. I actually like that they include a timed research with every event because it kind of keeps the gameplay relevant and drives up engagement, at least for me. But there's also going to be a paid timed research for $1.99 USD, which is going to award you with 3 lucky eggs, 4 rare candies, as well as encounters with event-themed Pokemon, including Beldum, Sandygast, Fido, and more. So I will say, on paper, this is quite an interesting event, and there's certainly certain spawns that I'm definitely going to go after, but I do think it's very... I don't know if it's a good move for them to change things up so drastically, especially for an event like the Adventure Week. This is one of those events, like I've said, is incredibly popular every year. I think for a lot of people, they always look forward to Adventure Week for a variety of different reasons, and then for them to switch it up like this, I think it's definitely going to draw some criticisms, but I'm also really excited about it because I do think that when it comes to these sort of in-game events, it's always going to be, I don't know, maybe good for the game in the long term whenever they do change things up. I mean, I think the most notable example that I can think of is Halloween. Like every year with Halloween, it's kind of been different every single time, and I do feel like Halloween is something that players do look forward to, and it's definitely a lot better than it was before. So, you know, I know a lot of players will be against change. I know a lot of players would rather have things the way that they're expected to be, but yeah, we'll just have to wait and see how this goes. I really do think, on paper, this event is looking to be pretty interesting. I do think it's going to be pretty good, but I don't know how the Pokemon GO community is going to react to it. That's all going to depend on how Niantic executes this. So yeah, in any case, that's going to be it for this video. Let me know your thoughts regarding Adventure Week of 2025 down below. Do you feel like this new format is actually pretty good, or do you wish they had it so it's just all about fossil Pokemon like before? Definitely share those thoughts and reasons for thinking that down below in the comments, and let's have a great discussion. And thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. If you ended up enjoying it, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if it's your first time here, and also don't forget that notification bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. Real quick, let me give a shout out to all of my patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support the Jinsula channel, the best way you can do that is going to be by joining my Patreon. And if you decide to become a paid Patreon member, I'm going to add you to my Pokemon GO friends list. That means for stuff like remote raids, the friendship system, opening and sending gifts. If you want to play Pokemon GO with me, then make sure you go and check out my Patreon. I'll put a link to it in the description below. And if you want to support my channel in a completely different way that doesn't involve joining any kind of membership, well, you can do so by following me on social media. My handle is @Jinsula. I'm on the platforms you see on the bottom of your screen. Make sure you go over there and give me a follow, and you'll have access to some exclusive content, and you'll be able to keep up with my daily life. With all that said, that's going to be it for this video. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself today, and I'll catch you all later.